Welcome! Today's video is for parents whose teenagers want to be vegan. Or this video could also be for teenagers who want to tell their parents that they want to be vegan. I'm hoping that with these 10 steps, parents and teenagers will be able to navigate the situation into a healthy decision for everybody. You poor parents, you work so hard to make sure you raise your kids right, It's bad enough that, your kid starts dating. You have absolutely no idea who or what they're going to bring home. What gender will the person be? How will that person identify? If you do the wrong thing, they'll cancel you. Raising kids today is hard enough. And now they throw this curveball at you that they want to go on a very restrictive diet that you may not know a whole lot about. But you know what? It's okay, because I'm here to help. So the reason why I'm a great person to give this sort of advice, if I do say so myself, is because even though I was a vegan like 10 years ago and I wasn't vegan for a while, about 2 years ago I became vegan again, and the having to readjust myself to being newly vegan, I've had to relearn everything that someone who is about to become vegan is going to have to learn themselves. It's a little different than going to advice from people who have been vegan since back in the day when carrots were used as hot dogs, or carrot bacon, or from people who consider a large head of cauliflower something you can roast as a chicken. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to have an open mind. You want to listen to your child, you want to hear what they have to say about the topic, and you want to make sure that you don't seem like you are closed off, because let's face it, teenagers, they tend to rebel when they're told no. Also, you don't want to come off as closed-minded, because if your child decides to do this without your knowledge, then they're not going to have your guidance, and there is nothing more dangerous than somebody who is younger and who is not fully developed going into a vegan diet, not understanding the proper nutritional needs that they'll have to pay attention to. 2, clarify, does your child know what is it to be a vegan? Do you know what it is to be a vegan? What are the differences between a vegan and a vegetarian? The third step is try to understand your child's reasons. Is the kid doing it because they care about the animals? Is it an ethical choice? Is it because it's something that their friends are doing? If that's the case, then you know what? It might just be a phase and you might just luck out and not have to deal with this again. Are they doing it for the planet? Did they watch the movie Avatar and feel really badly for those fictional whale creatures? So step 4, after you've had this conversation and you start to move forward in the idea, you entertain the idea, you want to entertain this idea, you want to make sure that, they know you're working with them as best as you can. Everyone is going to have to be educated on the proper nutritional needs of a teenager on a vegan diet. It's not the same. Your child is going to have to educate themselves on understanding what supplements to take, how to get the proper amounts of protein, making sure they're keeping up with the multivitamin, what types of multivitamins to take. And then for step 5, what are your rules in this situation? If you're going to have a vegan in the household, is that going to work for you financially? Can the family afford the expense of having another person on a different sort of diet? And there's nothing wrong with setting some rules. Having one person in the family going off on a separate diet can change the expenses that a family spends on food. Most people, when they become vegan, they tend to first gravitate towards the mock meats and the fake cheeses and the vegan ice creams and the vegan snacks, at least during that transition period until they start to like the healthier foods. But those foods cost money, and if you happen to be fortunate to be a family that can afford those foods, fantastic. But if you're not, then that means that you're going to have to set a budget aside for that child. If those extra foods are not an option to add to your grocery list, then make it clear that if your child decides to become vegan, they're going to have to choose foods that are within your financial means. There's nothing wrong with making sure your child is aware that if they decide to go through with this diet, they're going to have to stay within the family's financial means. And if that means rice, beans, and tofu, then so be it. Other rules might include how this might affect other children in the family. I mean, let's face it, nobody likes that vegan who tries to push their agenda on other people, right? Who is going to cook vegan foods? If the entire family is having meatloaf for dinner, be clear on who is going to cook that child's meals. If you're making spaghetti and meatballs, are you going to be able to provide veggie meatballs for the vegan child with a meatless sauce? Or are they going to have to learn how to cook and prepare meals for themselves? And be very honest, busy parents don't have time to cook multiple meals to meet every single person's desires. It's a great opportunity to help teach your child some responsibility in taking care of themselves. Step 6, how can you be supportive as a parent? So after step 5, you want to show your support. Show some encouragement. This is a great thing that they're doing for themselves. There are definitely some pros to being vegan. For example, one pro is that your child is going to learn how to have a very healthy diet. Your child will learn about nutrition. Can you help them look online to help provide resources? Maybe you can spend some quality time with them to help learn how to cook vegan meals. And also, what ways can you not support them? Again, this goes back to can the family afford to have a different menu for just one child? Make sure they are aware of limitations. You should also make it very clear to that child that this is going to be a game changer when it comes to things like holidays. I mean, Thanksgiving is a completely different holiday when you're not having the same turkey and side dishes and all those delicious desserts that everybody else is having. Sometimes there are vegan options and some families are able to provide vegan options. Sometimes when I go out to eat, I'm very lucky in that I have friends that will cook and make vegan options for me. But there are other situations where it's just not possible, or my hosts have absolutely no idea what veganism is, and I would not ask them to change their entire menu for me. So in those situations, your child might have to bring their own food to Thanksgiving dinner. I wonder how they feel about that. What happens when they go to a birthday party or an event that there is not a vegan option? So these are all very important things that your child should consider before moving forward with this decision. Number 8, seeing a medical professional. When seeing a pediatrician, request blood work. Things in that blood work to monitor, well, your pediatrician should know, but some things you want to pay attention to are vitamin B levels, vitamin D levels. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other things that they'll look for in your child's blood to make sure that they're meeting their nutritional needs, especially iron, especially for the little girls, especially for girls that are, of age. Not getting enough iron is a common problem as it is, so being vegan, they definitely want to make sure that they're taking iron supplements, because unless they eat a great deal of leafy greens, then they might not get enough. Something else your pediatrician might be able to provide is number 9, resources. Your family doctor might have access to resources. There's a good chance that this is not the first teenager that has come to them with the desire to go on a mostly, if not all, plant-based diet. So they may have things readily available to offer to help in the transition. Being a vegan now is nothing like it was 10 years ago. You can do a quick Google search to find out any information that you want. You can find out pretty much all of your supplement needs. There are many health and nutritional websites that offer advice. In fact, I'll leave some of those links in the comments below. One tool that I use all the time is chronometer. I can never say that word. It's chronometer. Chronometer is basically a site that tracks macros, but it does so on a very specific level. You not only type in your foods, and it tells you your fats and proteins and carbs, but it also breaks down what are the amino acids in those proteins of the foods that you're having. You hear all the time that vegans don't get enough protein. It's not that they don't get enough protein, it's just that sometimes they might be lacking a particular amino acid if they're not eating the right variety of foods. Let's face it, teenagers are not always the best eaters, so tracking their amino acids might be a really good idea. And the 10th step is ongoing. You want to follow up routinely. Never assume that, let's say after a couple months go by, your child's in a rhythm, they seem like they're eating properly, they seem like they're eating all the time and they're eating the right foods. Never assume that you don't need to check in on them, because people's lives change, teenagers' lives change. At the drop of a hat, they may stop paying attention to what they're doing. And again, nutritional deficiencies can happen very quickly in growing bodies. Now, there is one warning I have. I am very concerned about one particular group or category of teenager that may want to become vegan or even vegetarian for that matter, and that is any child with an eating disorder. Veganism is a great hiding place for children with eating disorders. I mean, think about it. It's a way where they can restrict themselves in public and have a valid reason. Oh, aren't you going to eat tonight? Oh, it's okay, I'm vegan, but I'll eat at home. Or you don't see them eating at the dinner table because maybe they told you, oh, I already ate earlier, I had a salad with some tofu. So for any child with an eating disorder, it might be a good idea to make sure that you go through not only a pediatrician, but also their psychologist to make sure it is a good idea. Now, whatever you do, don't despair. There are so many pros to the situation that I have not covered yet. First of all, think about how wonderful of a job you've done as a parent that your kid wants to do something that is so ethically good for animals and the planet. Give yourself a pat on the back for that. Another good thing is that vegan diets, if done right, are healthier than most other diets. This is also a great educational opportunity because your child will get to learn about nutrition and how to properly maintain their nutritional needs, and that's something that they'll carry throughout their entire lives. If you happen to have other children, learning is contagious. And living in a country where obesity is an epidemic and one of the leading causes of most of our diseases, let's face it, the more educated and equipped your kids are in what they're eating and what they're putting in their bodies will help them in the long run. Look at all these wonderful things you didn't even think about having a vegan in the family. I hope that this video was of some comfort to you, and I hope it helps you in your situation. If so, please let me know in the comments. Also, if you've used this video for some advice and you've had any success, please let me know. I'd really appreciate to know that. So again, this is Frankly Speaking. I make videos on topics of veganism, topics of teaching, fun things to do in San Diego, smoothie recipes. Thank you for watching, and if you liked the video, then smash that button below. If you like the content that I've been streaming so far and you'd like to see more of it, then please consider subscribing. This is Only Frankly Speaking. See you next time.